Russia's Black Sea Blockade is restricting the export of Ukrainian grain, with foreign ministers from the G7 warning that it could lead to millions of people starving to death. So Laurence Freedman is Emeritus Professor of War Studies at King's College London. He's written about the possibility of breaking the Black Sea Blockade in Ukraine, and we can speak to him now. Good morning.
Morning.
How might that happen?
Well, ideally, the blockade wouldn't be broken, but Russia would agree to allow for some sort of corridor to get the grain that's stuck in Ukraine and the other agricultural exports out to start to ease the world food crisis. If that isn't done, then there are options, that one of which was used in the late 80s to protect Kuwaiti tankers against Iranian attack at the end of the Iran-Iraq war, which is a sort of convoy system involving, didn't have to involve only Western navies, but would need some serious naval capabilities, not least because you'd have to involve minesweepers. So that would be one of the possibilities that would enable commercial ships to move in and out. It's not an easy option, but desperation may lead countries to this sort of measure.
Well, absolutely, and the preferred measure would be the first point that you outlined, that Russia, allows it themselves. That seems unlikely, but presumably they would do it if they were given something.
I think it's very difficult to do deals of that sort on these issues. Russia's got its own problems in that its shipping is now banned around the world, so it has its own. So that's something that they would like to see. I think that these sort of issues are going to be part and parcel of any final settlement if we get that far. But at the moment, I think this has got to be done on its own terms as a humanitarian issue, but probably best not branded as a NATO initiative, although NATO would inevitably have to be involved.
What's the situation with the Black Sea Blockade? How has it changed in recent days because of the developments that are happening in the war? Mariupol has finally fallen. The Russians are retreating from Kharkiv. They've not had the success in Donbass that they were perhaps expecting. Has that changed the situation in the Black Sea?
No, it matters in the sense that, as your quote from General Petraeus indicated, a lot depends on how long this goes on. So obviously, the longer it goes on, the more there is an issue about Ukraine's economy, Russia's economy, for that matter, but also these exports. The Black Sea itself is the Russian Navy is in a pretty strong position, but of course it lost its flagship to quite an audacious Ukrainian attack, and that's created a problem for them because that provided a lot of the air defense of the region, and that has led to some fight over a very tiny little island called Snake Island, which is Ukrainian, where the Russians established themselves quite early on, but they have been regularly attacked there to stop them setting up other air defenses. They've got submarines in the Black Sea that send missiles into Ukraine, so it's quite an important area for them. And the Ukrainian Navy itself is very tiny. They largely lost it to Russia in 2014 when the Russians took over the base in Sevastopol. So it's an area of Russian strength, which is why there's obviously going to be a challenge, even if you're moving through international and Ukrainian waters, to get to Odessa, which is the main port, I think, now in contention. And Mariupol was in its time very important, but obviously not so now. And one of the key things that's happened in the war is Odessa, that many assumed to be one of the major targets of the Russian offensive, has stayed free from a land attack. I think it's beyond Russian reach now. So it is an important and it is an important location in the war.
It's really interesting. Thank you so much for your time. That is Sir Laurence Freedman, Emeritus Professor of War Studies at King's College London.